In a lot of ways, 2020 was a pretty typical normal season in the Big 12, right? Oklahoma was the best team and won the conference. Texas fell on their face for no particular reason. Kansas couldn't win a game, right? In some ways, it was really, really strange, though. Obviously, you had the pandemic issues that affected everybody and every team across the country, but there was some strange issues particular to the Big 12, right? The two best teams, Oklahoma and Ohio and Iowa State, were basically written off after the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. Oklahoma lost 2 of their first 3 games. Iowa State lost their first game to a group of 5 team at home, the neu-nrg Cajuns. It ended up being an interesting year, though, in the Big 12. Oklahoma and Iowa State were the two best teams. Iowa State beat Oklahoma in the regular season. Oklahoma won the rematch in the Big 12 title game. Can Iowa State repeat their success this year that they had last year? Or maybe even a better question, can they take it a step further? A lot of hype surrounding Iowa State heading into the 2021 season. They got a ton of returning starters and talent back from what was probably their best team in a long time last year. Can they win the Big 12? Does Iowa State actually have a chance to make the college football playoff? In today's video, we're going to take a look at the 2021 football schedule for the Iowa State Cyclones and try to figure out the answers to some of those questions. Let's go. All right, Big 12 fans, y'all do me a favor and check this guy out. You getting tired of watching an idiot SEC homer like me mumble barely intelligible half sentences into this microphone all the time? Check out a Big 12 fan, D4 Sports. That's right, he's a Texas Shorthorn man, and he's been working hard the last couple of months over on his channel. I'm going to leave a link to it in the description of this video and the pinned comment. Make sure you check it out, D4 Sports. I consider him a friend of mine. He's putting in some good work here on YouTube. You guys check him out. Hey, good morning. Guess what? Uncle Lou is here for you. That's right, it's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today, and I really appreciate you tuning in to yet another 2021 college football schedule preview. Doing a series of these. I've done a bunch of them already, 14 or 15. There's a playlist. You can check the playlist out, find your favorite team in there, and see what I have to say about their 2021 schedule. I think I've done about 15, probably about 15 more to go here. Up today, though, from the Big 12, Iowa State. Like I mentioned at the top, they had a great season last year. I mean, no denying it. No denying it. Iowa State was one of the more pleasant surprises, I think, of the 2020 season. When you look at expectations or hype heading into the season versus what actually ended up happening, Iowa State had a really good year. They finished 9-3, 8-2 in conference, 9-3 overall. And it was a strange season. They lost week 1 to the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Now, the Raging Cajuns ended up being a pretty good team, spent most of the year ranked in the top 25. But now that we know how good Iowa State ended up being, it almost makes that loss even more unbelievable, doesn't it? Hard to believe they lost that game, but they did. And it wasn't even close, 31-14, right? Week 2, off week, week 3 at TCU. You won that game, no problem. And then you beat Oklahoma, and that's when people started saying, what is going on here? That was Oklahoma's second loss already, right? They had lost previous, and so they lost 2 of their first 3 games, including this loss to you here. You beat them at home, which Tri-Stadium in Ames. You can't win at Iowa State. It's a documented fact, at least if you listen to that other guy, the Oklahoma guy, what his name is. You can't win a game there. Oklahoma found that out the hard way, toted a giant L. Big win for Iowa State, propelled them really forward for the rest of the season, in my opinion. Follow that up with a win at Texas Tech, another bye week, and then kind of a weird loss at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State has an amazing offense, it seems like, almost every single year. Every single offseason, people, myself included, get caught going, could Oklahoma State put something together this year and maybe win the Big 12? Can they finally beat Oklahoma, make a Big 12 title game? This might be the year. And every single year they fall flat on their face. That was definitely the case last year as well, but they did beat you, their biggest win of the season, in my opinion. You mollywopped Kansas just like everybody else did. You beat Baylor, Kansas State. You won on the road at Texas, which secured your spot in the Big 12 title game, and then you beat West Virginia in your final regular season game of the year, 42-6. And West Virginia was not a terrible team last year, and their defense was really, really good. And you put up 42 points on them. That was an impressive win. Not just that you won, but the way that you won. Big 12 title game didn't go your way. Great game. 27-21, you lost to Oklahoma. So they got their revenge on you there in the rematch. You beat them in the regular season. They turned around and beat you in the one that counted. That's twice in the last few years that Oklahoma has done that. Lost to a team in the regular season and then got revenge on them in the Big 12 title game. I believe it was Texas they lost to in the regular season a few years ago and then turned around and beat them in the Big 12 title game. Happened to you this year. You still made a New Year's Six Bowl, though, the Fiesta Bowl, taking on Pac-12 champion Oregon, and you whipped them soundly, 34-17, finishing up, like we mentioned, at 9-3, I believe it was. Yeah, 9-3. That's a great year for Iowa State, and you got a ton of talent coming back this year. A lot of people, myself included, have Iowa State in their top 10. I've got another top 25 poll coming out in about a week after the spring games finish up. I do a top 25 poll after signing day in February. I already did that one. I had Iowa State in my top 10. I'll be doing another one in a week or so. We'll see if they're still in there. Any poll, though, that puts Iowa State in the top 10, I think that's okay. I think they deserve a top 10 ranking when you look at the season they had overall last year, the talent they have coming back, the way they finished the season with a dominating win over a pretty good Oregon team. I think they deserve their top 10 ranking. If there's somebody that maybe is not as high on them and wants to put them in the top 15 instead of the top 10, I guess that's okay too. I'm not sure yet where I'll come down on Iowa State after I do my new top 25 coming up in a couple of weeks. But they're a legitimate top 15 preseason team, in my opinion, heading into 2021. Matt Campbell's done an amazing job there. I'm kind of surprised he's still there. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not trying to knock Iowa State or anything like that. But Matt Campbell is a hot name right now. There's a lot of teams that would love to have him, and I'm a little bit surprised he has chosen to stay in Iowa State this long. And it is a choice because he has options, and right now he's choosing to stay in Iowa State. See if that works out. There's some other coaches that have made mistakes along those same lines. You look at Purdue head coach Jeff Brom. He was a hot name 2 years ago. Now nobody wants him, and he may end up getting fired at Purdue at the end of this year. In my opinion, when you take a head coaching job at a mid-level Power 5 school or a low-level Power 5 school, and Iowa State falls into that category, you're good now, no doubt about it. But if you were to rank Power 5 programs, football programs, Iowa State would be in the bottom half. In my opinion, when you take a job at one of those schools, you turn it around, you get a couple of 10-win seasons or a couple of really, really good seasons, top 10, top 15 finishes, I think you need to strike while the iron is hot and try to find yourself a better job. He's chosen not to do that, at least for right now. We'll see how it works out in the end. I know Iowa State fans want to hold on to him, and I don't blame you. I think he's a hell of a coach. He proved that last year, and the hype is real and deserved heading into 2021. Let's put the 21 schedule up on the screen now, see what it looks like. Can they repeat their success from last year? Is this schedule going to be easier or harder? Well, let's take a look at it. All right, we're back to a normal schedule this year in 2021, and I know everybody's happy about that. We might even have full stadiums come fall. We'll see. But the Big 12 is back to their normal schedule. The Big 12 is a 10-team league. They play a round robin, so they play 9 conference games. They play every team in the conference, and then they play 3 non-con games. Last year, you just had the 1 non-con game because of the pandemic scheduling. But here we go back to the normal schedules. Now you start things off at home against Northern Iowa. You follow that up with a home game against in-state rival Iowa. And then your third non-con game, you have them 3 in a row to start the season on the road at UNLV. At worst, I think you're 2-1 there. I don't really see Northern Iowa or UNLV having the talent or the coaching to compete with Iowa State. Those should be 2 relatively easy wins. I also happen to believe you're better than Iowa. We do see weird things happen in rivalry games from time to time, so I wouldn't necessarily consider that a guaranteed win, but I definitely think it's a game that Iowa State can win. It's very possible you could be sitting at 3-0. This is not a prediction video. I do my prediction videos starting in June. I do about 50 of them. I put the schedules up just like this, and I give you a win or a loss for every single game on the schedule. This is more just an overview of the schedule here. But very realistic to think that you could start out 3-0, and I think the worst case scenario would be 2-1. And then you get things going with the conference schedule on the road at Baylor, a team that's been sort of spinning its wheels the last couple of years. They had some issues there under a previous administration. with Art Briles, and they had a couple of good years, but they had some things going on there, and they've turned a lot of things over. Not a very good year the last couple of years for Baylor. Last year was okay, I guess, but it not where they want to be. At Baylor, not much of a home field advantage there. If you were to rank the home field advantages within the Big 12, Baylor would be in the bottom half. Still, it's a road game, and not only that, it's back-to-back road games. You have to travel out west to Las Vegas to take on UNLV, a game that you should easily win, but then you have to travel to Baylor. It's never easy to play 2 road games in a row. I think you're better than UNLV and better than Baylor, but it can be tricky to play back-to-back road games. You come back home and play the worst team on planet Earth, the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas was so bad they fired Les Miles. Unbelievable. Then you get your bye week. That's an okay time for a bye week in terms of when it comes on your schedule. About halfway through your season, you play 12 games. You get your bye week after 5 games. Maybe you'd rather have your bye week before one of the more difficult games. Not that Kansas State is a pushover, but I wouldn't put them as the top 3 or 4 teams in the Big 12 right now. That's who you play coming out of your bye week on the road. And then Oklahoma State and at West Virginia in back-to-back games. Really, this is a tough stretch of games you have coming up after your bye week. Kansas State, pretty close to a gimme win, I think, for you there. But then you look at Oklahoma State at home, at West Virginia on the road, which I think will be improved, especially offensively this year versus what we saw last year. I'm a little concerned about their defense. They had an amazing defense last year, but they lost a lot of the players. They lost a lot of the coaches on the defensive side of the ball. They even had one of their best DBs transferred to Georgia. So we'll see what they look like defensively, but they should be better offensively. And that's a long trip. It's the longest trip you take in the Big 12 is traveling out to West Virginia. You come back home, you play a Texas Longhorns team that's going to be breaking in a new coaching staff and a brand new QB. But by this point in the season, we'll know plenty about them. Texas is a hard team to figure out heading into the season. Hard to predict what Texas might do the first 4 or 5 games of the year because just don't know what they're going to look like. By this point in the season, we'll know a lot more. But by no means is this an easy game. At Texas Tech, you would assume you'd be a significant favorite there. And then you finish things up on the road at Oklahoma and home against TCU. So in my opinion, this schedule is definitely backloaded. Mostly winnable games prior to your bye week. I don't think anybody would be surprised to look up halfway through the season and see that Iowa State is sitting there at 5-0, possibly even 6-0. You know, after your bye week, you play at Kansas State. That's 6 very winnable games for a talented Iowa State team. It does get much more difficult in the second half of the schedule, though. Oklahoma State, at West Virginia, Texas, at Texas Tech, at Oklahoma. Having Oklahoma as the second leg of a back-to-back road series there at Texas Tech and then at Oklahoma again, back-to-back road games can be tricky. These are college kids. They're not used to traveling. It messes up the routine that they're used to doing at their home stadium or home facilities. You just see a lot of strange things happen when teams have back-to-back road games, and you couldn't have a more difficult opponent for the back leg of that back-to-back away series there than Oklahoma. They're absolutely loaded. They're in the top 5 of every single preseason poll in America, and it's deserved and warranted. They get a ton of talent back on offense, which is always good, and their defense has been heading in the right direction the last couple of years, which has really been the only thing holding them back. That's going to be a very, very tough game, and it's in a tough spot for you, too. You'll be an underdog in that game, I think. And then you finish things up at home against TCU, a team that you're significantly better than and will be favored over for sure. So when you take a look at this schedule in the non-con, it's very manageable. Like I said, it's completely realistic to think you'll be sitting 3-0 after your first 3 games, which are your non-con, Northern Iowa, and at UNLV. Even at Baylor and home to Kansas are very winnable games. If I had to bet $1 on whether Iowa State would be 5-0 or anything else when they hit their bye week, I would put my dollar on 5-0. After the bye week, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. Here's my issue with Iowa State heading into next year. Do I think Iowa State's a good team? Yes. Do I think they're talented? Yes. Do they have a ton of veterans and experience on that team? Yes. Are they one of the most well-coached teams in the Big 12? Yes. Here's the issue. The difference between a great football program like Oklahoma, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, teams that consistently finish in the top 10, Georgia, you go on and on, look through the top 10. The difference between that, a great program, and one great team, that's a big difference. There's a big difference. Iowa State was a great team last year. They had a great season last year. I don't know that Iowa State's a great program. And it's hard to become a great program because consistency is the most difficult thing to achieve at a high level in college football. We see upsets all the time. We've seen Iowa State beat Oklahoma before. We've seen top 5 teams lose to unranked teams. We see that from time to time. Consistently playing at that level, though, is what is hard to do. And Iowa State really, in my mind, has never proven that through the course of history at Iowa State. They have had some good seasons. They've had some great seasons. They haven't had very many great runs. And that's the difference. And that's if I have any skepticism at all about Iowa State heading into 2021, it's not talent and it's not coaching. It's consistency. Can Iowa State put together 2 top 10 seasons in a row? That is hard to do. It's very hard to do. And like I said, that's what separates what most people consider to be the great programs versus what most people would consider to be a great team from year to year. Baylor played at a New Year's Six Bowl a couple of years ago. Where are they at now? Texas played in a New Year's Six Bowl a few years ago. Where are they at now? Michigan State played in a college football playoff several years ago. Where are they at now? The list goes on and on. There's a lot of teams that have had a good year here and there. That's totally different than putting together multiple top 10 seasons in a row. It's very hard to do, and that's what separates the Alabamas and the Clemsons from, almost any other team. We'll see if Iowa State can do it. I'm not saying they can't do it. That's my skepticism, though, because I don't have any questions about their talent or their coaching. And their schedule is manageable. Even though the back half of the schedule is pretty difficult compared to the first half, this is a manageable schedule. You'll be favored in all but maybe 1 or 2 of these games. So we'll see. Can Iowa State play at a high enough level, consistently enough throughout the season, like they did last year, to finish as a top 10 team? We'll see. I do think Oklahoma and Iowa State are the 2 best teams in the Big 12. We'll see if it works out that way at the end of the season. There you go. That's the 2021 Iowa State Cyclones college football schedule preview. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Iowa State, forget where you think they should be ranked now, do you think Iowa State will finish in the top 10 this year? Let me know that. You can let me know what you think their regular season record might be. Let me know if you think they have a shot at the Big 12 if you want. Again, I'll do my prediction videos starting in June, and I'll let you know what I think. I'll give you an exact win-loss record for all these teams, tell you which games they're going to win and which games they're going to lose. That's starting in June. But you can let me know what you think right now down below in the comments section. Give this video a thumbs up. I've got an entire playlist of these videos that I've done. I think I've done about 15 of them. Check the playlist out. You'll find your favorite team on there. Watch it. Share these videos somewhere. That'd be a huge favor to me. You looking for a way to help me out? You enjoy this channel? You enjoy the content? Are you liking these schedule previews? If you are, pick one of them and share it somewhere. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case. That'd be a huge help to me. It doesn't take you hardly any time at all, and it costs you no money to do that. Help Uncle Lou out. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day and an even better morning, too.